Well, welcome back. This is Jared. I'm stepping in here, DM Marathuster, taking a look at Wizards of the Coast release about 1 DnD. This is a little bit different than the conversation with Jeremy Crawford that I was looking at in the other one. And I'm actually kind of hoping that maybe I can get everything truncated down into the audio for the commentary on this 6.5 minute video. But this still kind of has a lot of things that you're seeing and that we spoke about. There's kind of one new thing in here that I'm somewhat excited about, and I've been waiting for a while because it was quite clear that DnDBeyond was on the verge of having it for quite some time. But we'll get there in a few moments here. We're going to start off right away with wokeness. And don't forget, if you're not woke, are you even human?
Dungeons and Dragons is a thrilling adventure, one we play together as dungeon master and players.
So, starting right off here with Crawford here, we're seeing how important it is that everything starts all over, and where you've been and where we've been doesn't matter in the least bit.
As we embark on an initiative that we call 1 DnD.
Growing up, I loved fantasy.
Woke. You imagine everything. How can you not imagine yourself a hero? Nothing about this says that a woman can't run through an adventure, that your race can't run through an adventure. It is your imagination. That is your brain that is broken if you cannot not imagine yourself doing it.
That people can really just not only share, but literally hand down to their kids. What we want to do is just add to that legacy. We did a smart thing with 5th edition.
We want to add to that legacy. We want to sell you everything over and over again.
That is stable, that is well loved, that incorporates the best elements of earlier editions.
And then we want to bloat it with new rules.
Where we think of
bloat is a huge part of where D&D is going here. When you listen to that whole conversation with Crawford, sitting down, you can tell that they are about to plow it with 10,000 rules for each one.
It's more important for us to.
They need to get woke culture. They need to pitch to women, because women apparently can't imagine themselves as an adventurer unless you say, "Hey, women, you can adventure." Nobody needs to tell you what you can do. Imagine it. Do it. So rule number 1 in the DM's guide. You make the rules. The rules serve you.
Basically, we're very happy with the game the way it is today.
And then we want to sell you everything all over again.
The major core rulebooks that every player uses, the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Monster Manual. One of my focuses, specifically, is the Dungeon Master's Guide. I'm going to make some structural changes to make it more friendly to new DMs.
The DM's guide is, in fact, a piece of shit. That is the least useful of the core 3.
We want to show that the person you are.
Woke. Do you even woke? Can you virtue signal more? Let's woke, bro.
Getting new versions of books that are the game you know, but reflect where the game is presently. 1 DnD has 3 pillars, and one is the rule set, which is built on the base of 5th edition, but updated.
We're building upon the rules that have been established.
Building upon is code for we're going to sell you more rules when you only need 2 or 3 rules.
Building on top of 5th edition, what we mean is that all the adventures and
the rules serve you. Allow them to continue serving you. Wizards of the Coast is saying allow us to sell you more shit.
For players in EM.
This is something they've imagined since 4th edition, and they failed at it miserably over and over again. The internet is finally there, and that's why they acquired DnDBeyond. They are so stoked to finally have the online power to do what 4th edition was supposed to be.
And it was a fantastic partnership that we have going, but we can add more. Digital physical bundles is something that we've wanted to do for a long time.
We've spoken on the digital physical. This is a money grab for them. They're trying to cut out other retailers. It makes sense for their business model, but it's not a favor to us. We've been doing it. Everybody's been living it.
through other devices,
them buying D&D Beyond is a clear reason where they're like, hey, we're kind of tired of you all making the profit. How about we can get some of that?
for you to have experiences that
And here it is. Unreal Engine. This is a money printing machine.
Dice, seats, the miniatures moving around in a 3D play space.
I'm a big fan of Corridor Digital and some of their rendering. It is incredible to see how often Unreal Engine is a mechanism which you can render worlds. And it's hilarious to see that that's what WotC is doing. I hope they paid Mike Shea to use Lazy DM.
That you need in order to get the adventure started. So we use the camera technique called tilt shift. It actually makes things look small. We want to make sure that the experience for you is that you're experiencing.
Yeah, I think this is pretty much the whole video here. Like, it's not really like adding anything extra as you kind of look at once they have this digital option. D&D Beyond's been close to their own virtual tabletop for a while. I wonder if it was D&D Beyond who was working in Unreal, or if it was WotC who was working with Unreal. I don't imagine this is just in the last few weeks since the acquisition.
We might give you a pre-made campaign from us.
But you get a campaign, and it's got 17 maps across a year's worth of play. Rime of the Frostmaiden. I've got one game of Rime right now that's a little over a year old. And Yithrin is one of the most beautiful spots in the entire campaign, and it's got a single map for it. If they give us these maps, they need to also make more, and they're not going to do that.
Provide us with feedback that then we will digest, process, interpret, analyze, and then act upon.
Most of my sessions, I like 3 to 4 events, and with those events I try to have 3 or 4 maps, and there's often 3 or 4 intermediary maps to try to tie those together as the lines that go between them. And that's one of those things that you kind of have to keep in mind, is that, you know, you want more. You always want more maps. And if we're counting on them to create them in that Unreal Engine, I think we'll all be disappointed. I'm excited to play around in Unreal Engine and create my own maps. I make my own maps in GIMP, but right now if I can find a map on Reddit or from somebody on Patreon and I can just leave their tag on my stream, that's much easier than spending 4 to 5 hours to create a map in GIMP that is make some pretty cool stuff, but it's very quick that a map can be a day's worth of effort. And if I'm trying to make 3 or 4 maps per session and I want to play D&D every single day for a different group of players, you can start to do the math and recognize that there's more hours in a week, or that's more hours in a week than there is hours in said week. But, you know, who knows? Having it like that might be a lot like Dungeon Draft. And that's one of those, again, kind of weird things. I think I would probably buy some of those design softwares if they, A, supported Linux, or B, were not subscription-based. I like to buy my software for computers, or own it. In the same way I've stopped using Windows since they basically closed down my college account, where I spent $170 on Windows when I was in college. And I think right as I was graduating, they basically killed all of those software licenses. And they said, you know, we're actually going to stop with this idea of selling you the product. And that's one of those things where that was around 2008 when there was a big precedent set when Congress recognized that digital software was still under the ownership of the company who produced it. The car companies at the time fought for this so people couldn't manipulate their cars, or rather that it was essentially voiding your warranty to manipulate your cars. That allowed them to sell you $4, $5, $1,000 chips to do modifications to your car instead of you just doing whatever you wanted to your car, you know, because you bought it. And yeah, that ruling I feel like it's come down pretty hard, and it's one of the biggest reasons I don't like to buy into subscriptions, which I'm feeling right now with D&D Beyond. I canceled that. I've got a lot of money invested in them. And subscribing $50, $60 a year to keep that up just to access those digital books. It makes sense with a lot of players to support them. But if I'm not getting players to support me or have a plethora of players, I own the books. I've got hardcover books. That's why I like hardcover actual things, because those are mine. Somebody has to break into my house and steal those. Granted, I absolutely adore having PDFs when I go play at a game store and run for some other folks. Oh wait, well, Watsy doesn't do PDFs. That would be silly to do PDFs. Best we're ever gonna get is that janky D&D Beyond online version. But I appreciate you guys listening to me rant here. I hope the sound came out wonderful. This is all still a new experiment, giving a little bit of news about D&D and what Watsy's going on. I know it's relevant to a lot of my players. I hope some people find it interesting to have me break down some of these things. If it's not useful to you, just thumb the video down and let me know in the comments how stupid I am for being such a curmudgeon. But otherwise, dice never lie. DM Zarathustra, out.